and food. So I will only introduce one of our panelists because for personal reason couldn't make it. He wanted to be with us personally, but you're going to hear his presentation on the subject, which is His Excellency Jaloul Ayed. He's bringing to the panel the diversity in terms of background and experience. He's a great international financial expert. We had the honor to have him as the Minister of Finance in Tunisia. And also he has created a company in Tunisia, which is Vega. And he's very known for his talents as well outside the professional, but as an artist in terms of, so before we start with, so that's the, I will get back to Dr. His Excellency Jaloul Ayed, but the diversity in our panel, we've got two CAOs, which is Riadh, and he will be sharing with us with also a great project in Tunisia. It took time to happen, but alhamdulillah, it did happen with SolarTech, and he will take us through it and address really the topic. And we have also the privilege and the honor to have with us Dr. Hosni Ghedira, who is the ambassador of Tunisia in the academia here in the UAE, and he's the director in the research environment of the AI University, which is Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Artificial Intelligence University. And we will have also his perspective from the academic world. And that's what gives the diversity now in our panel. And then we'll have a young entrepreneur, which will be joining us. Maybe he got stuck in the queue, but hopefully he will be coming and will share with us his experience in the field in Tunisia on his project. So I just, since Si Jaloul Ayed is not with us, Mr. Jaloul Ayed is a Tunisian politician, businessman, and author. He served as Minister of Finance in Tunisia post-revolution governments and held senior position in the BMC Group and Finance Com. Mr. Jaloul Ayed has a strong background in finance with 18 years of international experience with Citibank. He's a founder and chairman of the Vega Group, a technology business group in Tunisia. And he's also recognized as a classical musical composer. So we can start with the presentation of Mr. Jaloul Ayed, and then we move on with the next panelist. Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Tunisia, we face a complex web of challenges encompassing water, energy, and food production and consumption, all deeply affected by the far-reaching impacts of climate change. As we grapple with mounting water stress, a growing energy gap, and increasing dependence on food imports, our current strategies fall short. In this context, the Water Energy Food Nexus, or WEF Nexus, has gained prominence as a powerful approach to simultaneously address these interconnected challenges. Efforts to introduce the Nexus concept in Tunisia are underway, with the government recently, last month, establishing a committee to develop a comprehensive strategy. However, more work remains before this project becomes fully operational, and it requires high-level government support, active engagement from relevant ministries, and increased research efforts from universities and research institutions. Historically, as you know, we approach water, energy, and food independently, but there is now consensus that an integrated approach is necessary to provide informed and cost-effective policy recommendations. Considering time constraints, allow me to share with you what I consider to be the 10 pivotal reasons for embracing the Nexus approach. One, interconnectedness. Managing water, energy, and food well can improve public health, boost the economy, and ensure resource sustainability. Two, food security. Enhancing food self-sufficiency is essential to mitigate vulnerability to international price fluctuations. Three, water scarcity. Optimizing water use efficiency and ensuring equitable access are absolutely crucial. Four, climate change resilience. We must adapt to climate change while reducing emissions. Five, energy transition. Transitioning to renewable energy sources is vital for both climate action and energy security. Six, economic diversification. Investing in sustainable agriculture and clean energy enhances economic complexity and stability. Seven, health and nutrition. Access to clean water and nutritious food is fundamental to public health. Innovative solutions in agriculture and energy drives development and reduces environmental impact. Nine, global sustainability. Nexus approaches contribute to achieving Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, as we will see in a second. 10. Governance transition. The Nexus approach prompts a shift from silo governance to a more collaborative framework, enhancing efficiency. So, prior to delve deeper into the subject of governance, it is important to highlight the role of the Nexus in achieving the SDGs. The SDGs underscore the significance of integrated and cross-sectoral approaches in addressing multifaceted issues. In particular, SDGs 2, 6, and 7 advocate for concerted efforts towards 1, ending hunger and ensuring food security, 2, promoting sustainable management of water and sanitation services, and 3, ensuring access to affordable and sustainable energy, respectively. These objectives are closely intertwined, requiring a holistic and collaborative approach for practical implementation. Furthermore, other SDGs like SDG 13, Climate Action, SDG 14, Life Below Water, and SDG 15, Life on Land, can benefit from a WEF Nexus approach by reducing harmful emissions, protecting biodiversity, through more efficient management and shared resources. So allow me now to emphasize the crucial importance of good governance in managing the Nexus. Establishing a solid governance framework to bolster the Nexus approach is paramount. This framework should ensure seamless coordination, defined objectives, and accountable actions across various sectors, keeping the needs of all pertinent stakeholders at the forefront. It is also essential for Tunisia to embrace the United Nations Green Accounting Standards. Such adoption will make for a better reading of the environmental impact on the national accounts, thus facilitating informed decisions. Such evaluation exercise will be further enhanced by encompassing assessments of water and carbon footprints in the production activities, thus fostering sustainability and prudent resource management. Furthermore, a collaborative approach not only fosters resilience, but also paves the way for holistic solutions that can address the multifaceted challenges we face in these critical domains. Managing the three Nexus pillars often rests on collaboration among different government departments, as we said earlier, or agencies and ministries, each handling specific aspects of the Nexus. However, more often than not, some tough questions and trade offs prove difficult to address or tackle. For instance, in Tunisia's context, the question is, should the Ministry of Agriculture exclusively oversee water resource management throughout the country? Admittedly, the Ministry of Agriculture plays a pivotal role, especially in the context of irrigation and agricultural water usage, which consumes up to 80% of the nation's water resources. It is, however, imperative to contemplate whether a separate, distinct strategic approach focusing on governance should be established for the management of fresh drinking water, industrial water, or other potential applications. These fundamental aspects of water management serve distinct purposes, each with unique considerations necessitating specialized expertise and dedicated oversight and coordination. By carefully addressing these questions, we can ensure that water resources are allocated efficiently, sustainably, and in line with the diverse needs of our nation. While dedicated national bodies for the Nexus are valuable, there are tools like the Nexus Tool 2.0 that can aid in integrative resource planning uh, management. However, I believe Tunisia should establish a dedicated Nexus government body to bridge theory and action effectively. Such an entity would be vested with the necessary authority to address conflicts, streamline policies, and ensure the effective implementation of the Nexus strategy. This strategic move would help bridge the gap between theory and action and reinforce the commitment to sustainable resource management in the country. Let me now turn to the importance of green accounting in the governance of the WEF Nexus. While governance sets the stage, green accounting provides the economic dimension of sustainability. It is about factoring in the environmental costs and benefits of our actions into our economic policies and practices. Green accounting allows us to understand the true costs of our resource use and environmental impact. Indeed, green accounting provides a comprehensive framework for tracking and evaluating the environmental and sustainability aspects of water, energy, and food resource management, helping to make informed decisions that promote sustainability and balance in these interconnected systems. By incorporating green accounting into our national accounts, we gain a more comprehensive view of Tunisia's economic health. We move beyond purely economic indicators and consider the broader implications of our economic activities on the environment and society. It is a shift towards a more holistic and responsible approach to economic development. In the domain of green accounting, a pivotal facet of that involves incorporating water footprints into our national accounts. By seamlessly weaving these water footprints into our broader policy framework, we gain a more holistic understanding of how water is intricately intertwined within our economy. This integration empowers us to make well-informed policy decisions concerning water utilization, efficiency, improvements, and resource allocation. Furthermore, it helps us identify opportunities to reduce water consumption and elevate the standards of our water resource management practices. To underscore the paramount importance of this point, let's delve into the current state of Tunisia's virtual water trade balance. The virtual water is a metric that considers not only the water contained within a product, but also the water required for its production. While it is true that academic research has established that overall Tunisia is a net importer of virtual water, it is equally essential to acknowledge that we must not be complacent with this finding. For instance, the production of just 1 kilogram of olive oil in Tunisia demands anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water, depending on whether the olive trees are irrigated or grown in arid lands. The pressing question or the question that demands an answer, is whether Tunisia is fully capitalizing on its olive oil exports, known for their significant virtual water content. The disconcerting reality lies in the fact that a staggering 80% of Tunisia's exported olive oil is transported in bulk and subsequently blended by European importers with lower quality oils, frequently tainted with high pesticide levels. These European companies then package them and sell these blended oils at significantly inflated prices. This starkly illustrates Tunisia's missed opportunity to harness its water resources for optimal economic gain. The strategic imperative lies in a shift from the current trade of our olive oil exports to a strategy that emphasizes bottled olive oil exports. Tunisia boasts some of the world's highest quality olive oil, and there is henceforth enormous potential in this sector. However, one must admit that, regrettably, Europe is sparing no effort to hinder Tunisia's export of bottled olive oil to their market. I dare say this stark reality encapsulates the genuine economic tragedy facing Tunisia. It extends beyond the industrial sector, where 70% of our non-oil exports stem from low value added offshore endeavors, and it permeates into agriculture, where the true value disproportionately benefits the receiving nations. Similarly, imported energy plays a crucial role in the nexus, serving as a vital link between water and food security. It is essential for water pumping, irrigation, food processing, and transportation, highlighting its interdependence within this complex nexus. So, before concluding, allow me to underline another crucial important aspect, which is the strategic foresight. Strategic foresight is important in effectively managing the nexus, as it offers a forward-looking perspective of their intricate relationships. There are several techniques that can help conduct such exercise efficiently, including but not limited to the Delphi method, the environmental scanning, and the trend analysis. I invite those of you who are interested in foresight methodologies to explore. So in conclusion, I would like to emphasize that the water energy food nexus offers Tunisia a distinctive opportunity to address its challenges in a holistic manner. The nation's issues surrounding water scarcity, the transition to sustainable energy sources, and dependence on food imports call for integrated solutions, and the Nexus approach serves as the essential framework to achieve this comprehensively and sustainably. Governance, green accounting, and the adoption of water footprints in elaborating national accounts are pivotal components of this approach. They enable us to make informed decisions, foster sustainability, and create a brighter future for Tunisia. However, such formidable task requires collaboration among government, communities, industries, and civil society. It necessitates a shared commitment to sustainable development. The path ahead may be challenging, but the rewards are worth the effort. Thank you for your attention, and let us work hand in hand to share or shape a more sustainable and prosperous Tunisia.
How efficient the water we use, 80%. Water is a cost now. It's not coming from the rain. Tunisia will have to develop more desalination plants, and that is cost, that is energy, and so on. So I think personally, I will listen again to this because, and I think we should, as Tunisians, really encourage our government to look at the points brought up by Jaloul. So now what we're going to do, we're going to move to basically to Mr. Riadh Ben Khalifa, General Manager of SolarTech Sud. He's going to tell us how they made it, basically, and the process they went through it. And I will leave Riadh to introduce himself. I'm sure you've got all the profile, but he brings quite a diverse experience, and that particularly from the consulting world, from experience in North America, in Europe. And I think SolarTech really chose, after the decade of battle to make that project happen in our country, that they brought really one of the best talents to lead it. And I'm very pleased and honored to introduce you, Msa, but you can say a little bit more about yourself in terms of your experience.
Thank you, Mr. Nejib. I don't know if I'm heard. It's okay? Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I'm very pleased to be with you today. Thank you very much, Mr. Nejib, for your introduction. I'm sure there is a lot of talents here. When I see the floor here, there is a lot of distinguished and talents in Tunisia, and this is one of our, I think we are lacking some water, and probably we have some issue in energy. Yeah, but for in terms of talents, I think we have enough. and we have more than enough. And I think that a lot of our talents are outside the country, and they are working in several countries, and they are bringing their knowledge, their experience in several countries, and this is very an honor for us. So brief about myself. So I was graduated in France. Then I worked in the first initial years in IT world, then highway industry in France. But there is more detail in my bio. Also, to say it shortly, I worked in the highway industry for a long time. Then in UK, Middle East, also in an energy sector, desalination, cogeneration, those kind of things. And I was mainly in private side, advising developers, advising or working within developers and companies. And now I'm more public side. So I'm working with the World Bank and African Development Bank to advise a couple of governments in Africa and mainly in Africa nowadays. And I have this experience, so SolarTech, which so the company, as you mentioned, started in 2010, but I was appointed general manager 3 years ago. And from that time, we are struggling to make some advance, but hopefully we are seeing the lights. So now I think I will show you a couple of things and what we are been able to achieve so far. So just a few words. I think that Jaloul Ayed introduced the subject very, I think globally, and I think it was it covered all the aspects of the subject, but a brief, a summary of what is important. I think the solution to that, or the still to be invented. I mean, we have already developed a solution, but the solution are still to be invented. So what's new here is that it forces us to consider the three sectors altogether. When we think about a solution, we should consider the impact of our system on water, energy, and food at the same time. And this system design, this thinking of sustainable ecosystem is what make this, I think, shift in paradigm very interesting. It's a simple idea. It's not it's not, rocket science. It's just thinking about the system as a global system and thinking about water, energy, and food in the same time. But this system design thinking allow us to avoid some of the issues we have faced in previous experience. I have brought two examples of issues we have in previous experience. For example, biofuels. Everyone knows that biofuels is it may look like a good idea, but if you look at from the perspective of the Nexus, you are, creating competition between food and energy, and this is what is happening now in Brazil. You have competition between production of biofuel and food, and the water also resources is exhausted. And also another maybe less known experience is the Punjabi in the Punjab, the electricity subsidies in the Punjab. So basically, Punjab agriculture were given subsidies, access to cheap energy, so that they can pump water from the ground, from wells in the ground, and they increased their productivity, but at the same time they exhausted the resources of the ground, and this has led to a competition among them. This led to basically to the situation where they were probably economically less in a less interesting situation just after this program. So speaking about Tunisia now, I mean, Tunisia, we all know that yeah, this is was supposed to move, but it's not moving anyway. Maybe I should, no, okay. So
you should just do the inverse.
Ah, yeah? Okay. No. Okay. It should be moving. Anyway, it's not a problem. I was just saying that climate change in Tunisia, everyone knows that we are in the front line. We are facing both water scarcity, rainwater. Historical data already show a trend which is alarming, and it's the same time. I mean, in the same time, we have a issue also for
Carry on.
No worries. It's okay. Sorry?
Animation.
Yeah, it should be animated, but it's not okay. It's not an issue. So, so temperature also are rising in Tunisia, and as you know, Mediterranean region and the south region of Mediterranean is one of the region which would be the most impacted by the climate change. So. The idea behind it, and this is, as Mr. Nejib mentioned, an old idea, because we and Mr. Fria, who is the founder of this initiative, thought about this many years ago. I mean, before Wi-Fi and Nexus approach gained this momentum and this traction in the world. So our idea is we should create a living lab. This living lab, when in 170-hectare living lab, will no, there is, I think, so the living lab, it's not the living, there is an end missing, but no worries. This living lab will be hosting several facilities which will enable us to think about tomorrow. So we think about innovate. What is required here is that we need to bring engineers, agriculture, innovative people, digital, IT, all together in one single place to think about these issues together. And the idea is that we need a space where we can experiment new ideas, think about new ideas, and experiment them all together in one single space. And this is what's make this project very special, is that we have in one single space, agricultural space. We have 50 hectares here for agricultural land, and we have industrial and maybe a service space. We have an university, we have labs, we have all what is required basically to think about those solutions and create innovative solution altogether. So we have been accredited as a Technopole. This project is now underway. The land has been chosen. We are just now finalizing the paperwork. Mrs. Nemia knows this very well because she's following the project since a couple of months. And now we hope that we in 2024 we will be doing our first financial close, maybe for the first tranche, which probably will lead us to invest the first tranche of our 90 million investment. And as you see here, we have big hopes in our projects. We have the components are diverse. We have a solar power plant. We have greenhouses, data center, an incubator, and we hope to create 4,200 jobs over 20 years, deliver executive education certification and engineer, specialized engineer to be created. We have already contact with the big university around the world, which can be partnering in this initiatives. So myself, our general manager, engineer, Professor Ahmed Fria, who well known by Tunisian, is the founder and president. We have already, that's I think, just to start talking about concrete action. In the meanwhile, and while we are progressing on the different, because this is a complex project involving different components, so it takes time to set up things. We have started already to do some experimentation and develop the Nexus concept on the ground. And we have already developed a solution in the southeast of Tunisia, which is in our, and I will be showing a video to show you the solution we have. So here we are in the southeast of Tunisia, in Zarzis region. This region is well known for olive groves and is one of the regions which is facing continuous drought since 2016. We are facing a decline in the rain water and precipitation. And now, as you know, olive needs at least 200 millimeter per year to grow in the actual configuration. Nowadays, I think the average is around 120, 130. So we are already experiencing deficit. Olive trees are suffering, and a lot of farmers now are facing a huge issue for water. The second problem is that the groundwater is salty, and you have more than average water quality over there is around 5, 6, 7 grams. I mean, water with under 2 grams are very rare. So we'll show you an example. And another solution we have developed is also a solar thermal desalination, which can act also as a brine concentration unit. Both solutions are already developed, experimented, sorry. And we have, and I will show you this video, which is for the DesalTech. Hope the sound will be okay.
exportatrice, puisque mon activité, elle repose sur la transformation et la valorisation de ces saumures, c'est-à-dire contenant pas mal de quantités chimiques. J'ai signé la disponibilité de Sud Potasse de recevoir cette saumure, donc je peux recevoir même des quantités plus importantes que ça. Ça résout le problème pour procéder à l'impact, à rendre leur projet sans impact sur l'environnement.
عاطف سليم مشرف على مشروع فلاحي عائلي بجرجيس. مشروع فلاحي هذا يضم أكثر من 2000 شجرة زيتون ومعصرة بيولوجية. اتجهنا باش عملنا البير اللي عاوننا في السقيان من الأول، مي لو بروبليم احنا توا هو عنده 6 سنوات ملي خدمناه مع المعصرة. سالينيتي اللي تعدات من 5 جرام حتى تكشي 9 جرام. السوليسيون توا اللي تبروبوزاها سولارتيك اللي هي لويتي دو ديسالمون بار اوسموز انفيرس ساعدتنا برشا في الانتاج الفلاحي سورتو. اولا اللي ولات نعاونوا اكثر بالمياه، واللي باش نحولوا من معناها من مشروع بعلي الى مشروع سقوي. نجمنا السنه نزيدوا في الدومين الفلاحي 500 شجره زيتون. ستاسيون عاونتنا برشا زاده في الكاليتي دو لويل دوليف، خاطر قبل كي كان عندنا لو ترو سالي في الاكستراكسيون نحينا معناها لي زاتريبيو بوزيتيف الكل نتاع الزيت يمشيو مع الماء. الفرويتي اللي موجود في الزيت ما نلقاوهش، خاطر احنا الاكستراكسيون بازي سور لي 3 فاز اللي تتطلب برشا ماء. دونك كي ولينا نخدموا باللويتي دو ديسالمون تحسنت معناها فما فرق بعيد معناها في الكاليتي نتاع الزيت. ولينا نستحفظوا اكثر على الكاليتي اللي هي تعاوننا اكثر في البرودكسيون، نجموا نسوقوا بطريقه خير.
The first time I heard that finally his dream is as executed and he can see something tangible. And as Dr. Nejib, as Nejib mentioned, hope that this will be one step that to create this momentum and to see more initiative like this one in the future, in the near future. So my name is Hosni Ghedira. I'm a director of research at Mohamed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. I get my civil engineering degree from Tunisia, and then I moved to Canada. I get my master's in environmental engineering, my PhD in water science, and then I moved to New York. I was professor there for 6 years in civil engineering, but my area of interest was water resource and Earth observation, how you can use satellite data to monitor water resource at large scale. Then I moved to the UAE 2007. That time a senior advisor Dubai government for the space program. And I want to go back to academia, so I joined that time initiative by MIT to establish a research university in Abu Dhabi called Masdar Institute. And my exposure to energy started from there. And during that period, I had the opportunity to meet Nejib. And we have a nice story that time when the UAE started building their renewable energy vision, and all people were against, because how countries rich in oil like investing in renewable energy at that time. And thanks to the leadership of Nejib, but to convince Dubai government, because I was in Masdar that time, in Abu Dhabi vision to reach 7% by 2020. And we started with small project that now we can see what Dubai achieved since then by 5 gigawatts of solar. It's one of the largest solar plants in the world. And Abu Dhabi now reaching more than 3 in Suwayhan. Recently, they opened the 3.2 gigawatt of solar plant. Here we're talking about 9 kilometer by 8 kilometer PV panels. So it's a huge, and this is just a story that reminded me with Nejib when we went to Brazil and Rio de Janeiro to announce this initiative. And at that time, the kilowatt hour was costing 30 cents USD, but now it's costing 2 cents. Imagine the difference, the price. The first project in Shams, it was a concentrated solar power, 100 megawatt. The kilowatt hour costed like 36 cents. But now the CSP with 12 hours of storage, you can get at 5 to 6 cents. So you can see the difference and how the investment can make the difference at time. So I prepared a presentation. It's a bit technical, but I attended a couple of presentations yesterday, a couple of sessions. I think it's better to have more overview than going through technical things. I prepared a couple of slides that I think will be shared with you regarding solar desalination. I will go briefly, but I want to discuss more about how my experience here in the region, how we can gain also in Tunisia, how we can have this mix of collaboration. I'd be happy also to introduce SolarTech Sud to some of the largest R&D groups here. We have one of the largest desalination research centers at Khalifa University, and we have an NYU Abu Dhabi as well. So, so to put in the context of the Nexus, because when we talk about water energy Nexus, this is the place that you can translate Nexus, because here water is not liters, water is kilowatt hour here. 100% of water is coming from energy. All the drinking water is coming from desalination. Saving water is not saving natural resources, it's saving energy. It's a direct relationship. And this is the Nexus link between water and energy here cannot be separated. So it's a completely different context of talking about Nexus in different, like in Tunisia is different way of Nexus. Here, Nexus is direct Nexus. The idea is to go back to my first point of the UAE engaging in solar energy with oil producing countries, producing more than 4 million barrels per day of oil. So the idea was, but the leadership of the country is how you can sustain life after oil. And this was the driver of investing in solar energy for oil-rich country. They said, okay, if you don't have oil, so if you master technology of solar energy, so we can desalinate water from sea because we have energy, and we can irrigate, produce food, so we can close the cycle of the Nexus. So here, as Mr. Jaloul mentioned about the Nexus, food, water, energy Nexus, is how you can close the loop without any input of other resources. So we have energy from the sun. We are blessed that we are located at the solar belt, so we have very high sun exposure compared to other countries. If we master the solar desalination technology, that I will talk later about it, if we can integrate the desalinated water in the agriculture, like what this project was presented earlier, so we can close the loop and sustain life here after oil. And then the idea started from there. And the challenge that time is the cost of solar. As I said, it was very expensive, so we start at the experimental stage. And the solar energy, so people say we have a sun, we have high sun exposure, we don't have cloudy condition here, but we have issue that time we're facing the dust. And this is issue that we face in some area in Tunisia. So if you take the GHI, the global horizontal irradiance that uses indicator to calculate solar potential, Tunisia is much better than UAE. Even we have less number of days of sun. And they do, the reason why, because you have the dusty condition. And the dusty condition, it limits us to develop the concentrated solar power, because now the trend is to go for the CSP to have more storage, because the project now that started in Dubai recently, they have up to 12-hour storage. The cost is like 3 times the cost of PV, but still cheaper than combining battery technology with PV. But the problem when we have dusty environment like here, all the radiance will be scattered back to the atmosphere, so we cannot concentrate enough solar power and produce thermal energy that can be later on used as a turbine to produce electricity. And the challenge is to how you can improve technology in terms of CSP to improve your efficiency. And at the end, it ends up like the cost of kilowatt hour by CSP here is almost like 2 times or 1.5 times, depends on location, compared if you have the same installation of CSP in the desert in Tunisia. Because Tunisia, we have different microclimate. We have the desert, but you have the blue sky. Here, we have the blue sky only when we have rain. So you can flash all the dust in the atmosphere. And when you have the blue sky conditions, so you have more efficiency in terms of concentrated solar power. It's why here, if you hear like a lot of people here in the UAE suffering from vitamin D deficiency, especially women. And people say because traditional dress, they don't go out, but it's not true, because most of the irradiance is scattered back to the atmosphere because we have this dusty environment. And this is, even when you go to the beach here in the UAE, you cannot get tanned like in Mediterranean Sea in Tunisia. So this is the reason why, because it's dusty, it has the impact on solar energy at 2 levels. And the level of the scattering of irradiance, but also the accumulation of dust over the panels. The project that we're running now in Suwayhan, the 3.2 gigawatt, million of panels, if it gets dusty, and sometimes you have a combination of humid weather and dust accumulation, so the dust becomes stacky over panels. So you have to go flash it with water. And the funny thing, when you calculate the carbon footprint needed to clean all the panels, labor of like military, like an army of people, you have to bring like army of people like to go, and sometimes they have to flash the panels, because when you have wind, get rid of the dust accumulation, the deposition over panel. But when it's sticky, you have to flash it with water. And so one time we calculate the carbon footprint of moving like all the workers from the labor camps, cleaning the panels. It will exceed more than 30 days of clean energy produced by the panel. The same question now for the electrical vehicles, because the recent study, it was mentioned that to offset the carbon generated to produce the lithium battery in 1 Tesla, it needs 130,000 kilometers. So it's not really clean energy. So it's why it's important. Yesterday presentation about the hydrogen, this is the future later on. The vehicle with hydrogen battery, it will be the future, it will be more clean. But the question is like driving a Tesla, and then if you calculate the carbon footprint of the battery, how many CO2 emission that was generated to produce the kilo of lithium, it needs all this, have to offset by driving your car, a regular car with 130 kilometers. So this is just wanted to put in some context. So if you look at the energy for the water usage, so we have 3 cycles where we need energy for water. So we have, if you take it in a desalination-based country, water system. So because here, 99% of drinking water is coming from desalination. All the tap water is coming from desalination. The 2% is from bottled water. So pumping water from plants to the usage on the end user, it is a big component of the energy. Sometimes it's a huge percentage. And some few from Tunisia, you know that the first customer of Steg is Soned. Soned is consuming most of power because all the pumping needed to distribute water from production point to the final destination to consume a lot of energy. It's why sometimes solar pumping is a better solution than solar desalination. For one reason, because in the experiment we did for solar desalination is the membrane, especially when you use reverse osmosis desalination, it cannot adapt easily for the intermittents. When you have high variability, especially in Tunisia, when you have cloudy condition, you have drop in power, so the membrane cannot tolerate this variability, and through some scaling, and some technology now is getting developed to mitigate this issue, but still it's challenging. But for us, if you have pumping solar, so we can use the water as a storage instead of like investing in batteries. So if you have power, you pump, and you know you can store water. So water is energy in terms of pumping amount of energy needed to pump it. And you know water, especially for drinking, you cannot keep it for more than 2-3 days. So you have to keep it circulating. So the design and of the system of pumping, solar pumping and desalination and final distribution is very important to take into consideration the frequency of your usage and the frequency to adapt to frequency for production. And then, so the last part is after usage is treatment of your sewage. So when we have treated sewage water, the wastewater treatment is very demanding in terms of energy and also demanding in terms of pumping power, because you have to pump your wastewater to the treatment plant that usually it's far from the city, because for smell control, for many reasons we put it far from the city, so it requires a lot of pumping as well. And we did a study here recently because here in the UAE they have very active TSC, treated sewage effluent. So they are treating in Dubai more than 60% of their wastewater and recirculated for the landscaping. You hear a lot of parks, a lot of green parks, but most of them are irrigated by treated sewage effluent. But if you calculate the energy needed, because if you take Dubai, the treatment station in El Awir is about 40 kilometers from Dubai, and they have a new station in Jabal Ali in the border of Abu Dhabi. It's an average 40 kilometers of pumping. So if you have to pump it from the collection point, from the urban area to the treatment sewage plant, and then pump it back to do landscaping and irrigation, amount of energy needed for that exercise, because also don't forget you have to add a tertiary treatment in your, because when you treat sewage effluent like wastewater and discharge in the sea, so you don't have to add tertiary, so the sea can absorb all this. But if you send it back for landscaping, you have to add like more advanced tertiary treatment to make sure that water is clean and safe to use even for landscaping. So to save the tertiary treatment and save the water pumping from the production point to the sewage plant and pump it back for landscaping, it's better to have desalination plants next door, because most of Dubai Marina, Dubai developed next to the sea. If you have desalination, small units, and use desalinated water for landscaping, it will be cheaper than treating sewage effluent. That's why it's very important always to add energy nexus in all the mindset of designing or even thinking a large scale of our water distribution systems. And some of this concept can be applied in Tunisia, because now in Tunisia, so we know that a lot of pressure to start using treated sewage effluent, even the cost is expensive. Nejib mentioned the 80% of water used for agriculture. And now, by the way, it's slightly less, in 75-78%, to the drop and the recent drought that is impacting the agriculture and the irrigated agriculture in general. But out of those 80% of water in Tunisia used for agriculture, more than 80% is coming from groundwater, because people are talking about dams. Dams are empty, but the challenge is the groundwater that is depleting. And as observed in Jarjis, the desalination is increasing as well, because the gravity is there. If you deplete your groundwater, the seawater will be migrating to aquifers and will be increasing salinity. And the issue is you cannot reverse it. You cannot reverse it. It will be damage for life. And there are some solutions sometime here in the UAE. There is one big project on refilling aquifers, because most of water desalination, especially in Dubai, is cogeneration. The water is byproduct of electricity. So they need a lot of energy to produce electricity, they produce a lot of heat, and the heat is used for desalination. So it's a cogeneration. So the water is co-product. So when you produce electricity, you produce water as a co-product. And the issue here in the summer, when most of people go back to their home country, you know the UAE is 90% population are expats, so most of them spend their summer outside the country. So we have a lot extra produce of water. So before it was discharged in the sea, because anyway it has to be produced for electricity, because in the summer we have to cool all the shopping malls. So we need a lot of electricity in the summer for cooling, for the cooling of the city. It's very high demand in terms of electricity. So what they did like one of large LIWA project to refill aquifers. So all the water produced, extra water produced is used to refill. And now we start seeing that how this project is benefiting all the Oasis and Ain that are take advantage of extra water produced by the cogeneration. Just quickly about the Nexus, the renewable energy for the water security. So it's important if you integrate renewable energy in your water cycle, so you increase your independence in terms of energy. Especially in Tunisia, we don't want to talk about it too much because it's a bit sensitive politically, but the energy security, because you know we have only our energy is coming from one country. And this is not acceptable in terms of geopolitics, in terms of security. And now, especially recently, when you see in Europe, what happened after the Ukraine-Russian war, when they had this big cut from gas supply from Russia, how this impacted completely the security of energy supply. So for us, is to have this balance, increasing more renewable energy resources. And yesterday, it was a very good presentation about the solar potential in Tunisia, where we can, the coastline, the shallow reef in Tunisia that can be very efficient to produce very high quality and very efficient wind power compared to solar, because wind it's more stable in terms of you can produce power at night. Sometimes you can cover your peak that is needed for your energy usage as well. So I think to increase our capability, I'm talking about Tunisia, about wind energy, about efficient solar energy. And I have been involved in many initiatives in Tunisia about the energy security as part of a joint program with the United Nations. And at that time, one idea that was proposed is, instead of investing a large-scale power plant of hundreds of megawatts, it's better to encourage usage of rooftops. Because now we have some incentive, but the incentive, I think some people can correct me if I'm wrong, that start decreasing with time. Because before you can get full financing to install your rooftop, because your rooftop you can reach the same capacity of 500 megawatt solar. If we give like all city incentive to have solar roofs, we have main advantage of more control of intermittence. You don't focus your energy in one point. Especially in winter, we have moving clouds. If the cloud is concentrated of the power plant, so it will be more vulnerable in terms of energy output. But if you distribute it over rooftops, the same capacity can feed the grid well. And the other advantage that even people don't see it, we don't pay our power with the hard currency, because we don't have any company in Tunisia that can install capacity of 200 megawatts. So we have to give it to international company, and we have to buy electricity by US dollars. And this is the deal, because I bring investors, you know, like 1 gigawatt needs $1 billion of investment now in Tunisia. So I know that if we do it, now there are a couple of tenders of 500 megawatt, but definitely there is no Tunisian company that will do it. But they have a power purchase agreement with STEC that we have to pay them in US dollars our power. But if you have rooftops, so the STEC will get it for free, not for free, with incentive to the producer. The homeowner will be investing in his panel. So definitely will be investing in buying panels, but much, much lower than having those big projects with big companies and then having this liability for 25% to buy electricity from those international companies with hard currency. So this is, usually we don't talk about much. I know there's some movement in Tunisia about against, there are some stake also activity. I think they're pushing more to have more local production, but definitely we don't have now capability to invest and to build like large scale solar plants. Sorry, I'm jumping from different topics.
It's okay.
But
carry on. It's okay. It's good. Everybody is focused on you.
Okay, good.
It's very, very useful.
So just to put in the context that the number I mentioned earlier about the water demand versus water sources. So demand of, as I said, Dr. Nejib mentioned the 80% of agriculture, but now get dropped. This is number by Sigma Conseil. I didn't mention the source here, sorry. So dropped to 75% to the drought, and residential administration are increased to 22%. So all our water demand for an industry is 22%. The industrial demand is much lower, it's 2%, and tourism is around 1%, because sometimes we read like some article about how tourism is depleting water resources, but it's not a big percentage. True is if you compare to other users, because there are some studies to add a water tax for tourism. It's easy to implement. If you have your hotel room, so you have a tax for municipal tax, a government tax, and you can add a water tax for the tourists to pay. And hotels can invest in small unit of reverse osmosis. You can control your brine. Now you can, with GE Electric, GE Power, you can buy a container with very good capacity. You can distillate water. You can control your brine, discharge, and you have your full supply. So you're not impacting the country and our limited resource of water. And this is, I think, through a policy implementation, and hope that some of you are involved in policy development. Tunisia can push for this kind of ideas to reduce the impact of tourism, because there is a perception as well. In numbers, not big numbers, but there's a huge perception in Tunisia that how tourism is depleting. Because I'm originally from Monastir, so when I went there in the summer, we don't have water after 4 p.m. But in hotels, like, water is flowing whole day, and tourists like enjoying pools, taking 3 showers per day, and you feel it. You cannot stay inactive for this kind of situation. And it's very important to have the strong message to policymaker to implement those kind of initiative. And in my opinion, for hotel operators, it's easy to implement. And if you give them the authority to implement small tax for each room, and people will be happy. Okay, we are coming to spend a couple of weeks in drought and scarce water countries, so it's good we can contribute to the water resources of the country as well. For the water sources, what I mentioned, and this is the misperception as well about our water resources, because we're talking about dams, depleting dams, the dams capacity now at 22%, but most of water usage is from aquifers, and this is I think the alarming things. And between us, there is abuses as well. There are a lot of initiatives to implement meters, because if you are bigger, you have a farmer, and you are using one of the deep wells and using aquifer water, so you have responsible as well. So now there are a lot of initiatives to install meters, but there is a lot of resistance from the agricultural community in Tunisia to allow them to implement meters in the aquifers. And this is, I think, what is needed, because the only way to control this, because now it's very easy to have smart meter. You can measure the amount of water pumped each day, and you can limit and you can cap it. It's easy, it's not expensive, but there's a lot of resistance from farmers to implement those. But this is, I think, the only option, because there is a lot of depletion of water resources in the country. So surface water from dams is only 17%. Desalination started recently, and also treated wastewater just for agriculture activity also started with small percentage. And I have also my opinion regarding desalination, because desalination is very expensive. I don't know how much the meter cube will cost you, but now for utility scale, we cannot have it below 60 cents per meter cube. In Tunisia, it costs 80 cents per meter cube, and this is about almost like 2.5 Tunisian dinar per meter cube. And you know how Sunaid is charging people for water. I think the first slab is in the 200 million for the first 20 meter cube. So to integrate desalinated water without in the distribution system, And if you know that Tunisia, our network of pipelines, we have a leakage between 25 to 40% in some regions. We have very old network. So how we can integrate desalinated water in a network that's losing 40%? It doesn't make any sense. And for me, to save 5% from agriculture is better than investing in those billion of dinars, not because here, to have project, I think the one in Jerba is 1 billion dinar of small capacity. So investing all this money and then desalinate all the expensive seawater and then distributing those pipeline with all this leakage definitely is no sense. So, so this is, I think, in my opinion, I know that some region the water is not distributed, talking about the south, about the north, but in some area, because now we have in Sus, one of the second desalination plants. But in the center east of the country, it's a very active agriculture area there. So and the water usage is huge there. So if you can save 10% from this water from agriculture, you can compensate what you are planning to do for desalination for the next 1 year. So this is also another message to our policymaker to look at it. I think this is some number about the UAE, but the presentation will be available because let me go. This is a pilot study that we did about solar desalination. So we did different configuration of solar technology, desalination technology. I'll be happy to share with you the presentation later on. And we find out that you don't need it. You don't need to have a coupled solar desalination. If you have access to the energy from the grid, so it'll be much better than having your own independent standalone solar plant connected to your desalination plant. Because as I said earlier, especially the ARO, reverse osmosis, cannot tolerate intermittence. So it's better to have your steady power supply for your plants. And if you are concerned about the green desalination, so if you get your power from a large-scale desalination plants, so it's like for hydrogen now. Hydrogen now, we are giving permit for green hydrogen when your power is coming from desalination plants, and it's coming from the grid because the electricity distributor cannot grant like green certificate more than their production. So for you, you can get certified to have green hydrogen if you get your power from the grid, and the grid it's fed by renewable energy. So the conclusion of the study might be much cheaper. Sorry, it will be much cheaper to connect your desalination to the grid, but if you have some concern about the clean energy or to promote your project as clean project, so it can be linked to utility scale plants. I just want to stop about this slide as well. This show the water footprint of agriculture in Tunisia. You start with the lowest one with the strawberry. It consumes 200 liters to produce 1 kilogram of strawberry. Tomatoes 214, orange 560, dates 2,800 liters per kilogram of dates. Olives 3,000 liters per kilogram. And there you see the container for export. We are exporting those products. You know that we're exporting our olive oil. And you know, when 1 kilo of, let's say you need 5 kilos of olives to produce 1 kilo of olives. So you have to multiply this by 5 for 1 liter of oil that we are exporting. So if you export our products, you are exporting our water. If we have it, it's fine. But if you be investing billions of dollars in desalination and you are exporting our products, for me, it doesn't make sense. So how we can add this as well in our policy, in our mindset. I know that now a lot of pressure on agriculture, especially during this drought here, to rationalize some area now they cannot plant like orange because that's about the consumption, not about consumption, but also about there is no availability for irrigation. So this is, I think, this is very important to take into consideration about. If sometimes we are happy that we're exporting our agricultural product, but and we are exporting our water, we don't have it, and we are paying 10 times the price to desalinate because we don't have enough water to satisfy our demand. So we have to invest billion for desalination. So this also has to be taken into the full equation. So my message or my takeaway message is the R&D is very important, research is very important, and always say that we have our Cartesian Magon that is the first. The father of farming, and then his books were translated later on to Europe. So we have to be proud that Tunisia produced Magon, and also produced from Tozer, Ibn Shabbat as well, who designed that like 1,000 years ago, the best way to irrigate, to have sustainable irrigation that time. So thank you, and we'll be happy to keep in touch and to keep the dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hosni. I think we could carry on longer, but you triggered a number of points who are strategic for our country. And I think we should think about doing a session in Tunisia on this, because we talk about policies, we talk about, you know, looking at the whole thing in a very holistic, beyond the nexus, actually. And you brought so many points, and definitely we feel the depth of your expertise and know-how. And I think maybe that's one of the things we should take as TTU when and so on. But definitely this require really to raise to the decision makers. This is very strategic for our country, because we think we're making good profit, but actually we're not making profit, we're losing money. And then also on the water efficiency, even it went down to 75, I'm sure I'm staggered about the leakage. Leakage in other countries do exist, but not at 25, 45%. When I was doing contributing to Dubai, we're talking about 7, 8, 10%. So that also by itself, as Dr. Hosni said, if we go to that source and tackle it, we will, you know, identify where the leakages, but the big ones, rather than making desalination plants. So really, I enjoyed listening to you, but we get to the questions later. Huh? Yeah, sorry. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's very useful for us. I'm coming from Ministry of Agriculture, and I am in charge of elaborating our strategy 2050. And you have the document.
Thank you.
And my question, take care about sources of information. It's not, you have it.
About the water footprint,
So,
or?
all, water, surface water, blue water, you have all these things. So we spent 4 years to elaborate our strategy, and it's now approved, politically approved. And what you have said, Nexus is one of the pillars. Nexus, not only water, energy, food production. It's here. It cost $22 million for. So there is sewage water. There is all things, dams, new dams, and it's here 45 megawatt for transportation of water from the north to the center and south, and for drinking water. So you have all things here.
Good.
So please.
No, that's very good.
No, it's not. Be sure that what you have captured here and what you have said here in this document, it's small document, because our strategy more than 4,000 pages. So please take it.
So yeah, it's
and also we have done this, how to water scarcity in Tunisia and how to deal with this. So you can try to.
Thank you for bringing this additional information, but I'm speaking from my personal experience. We do strategies, it's fine, we get the approval, but then next is to implement, and I tell you, is the implementation. So what I suggested is to help whatever is there and to implement it. So this is great, it's there. it's there, but then we will focus and we will involve you, make sure I have your business card. And then we'll try to really raise the awareness to our 12 million Tunisians, because at the end of the day, it's our problem as Tunisian or our challenges, and then raise as well the awareness and encourage our decision makers to really put this as high priority, because we're losing money every day. So that's what I picked up today from this session. Yeah.
And I want to highlight something. It's true that many other strategies we can't implement these strategies because it's still only on paper. Now, in my position, I am working with this strategy 5 phases. Now, I create another phase, 6 phase, how to implement. And you are working on it. And we count.
And we can help you.
Yeah,
I have implemented and I saved for this
many challenges
for this emirate in 1 year with my team and everybody involved, and with His Highness full support. No, listen to this.
But we can send you what you want. You know, the second phase, the state of water in Tunisia. You can find information like in Tunisia in the numbers. 1,040 pages. Mm-hmm. So you have what you want. Don't.
No, thank you. So the end of the day, we talk about implementation, making it happen, and we are happy to be there to support you and make it happen, because for the interest, but at the end of the day, you did a great job, and we thank you for that. So we need really to move, because later on there is a lunch break. So our last speaker, it's Mr. Esmail Thabet. He's the CAO of BLUEJET Engineering. He's really a young, bright entrepreneur, which one of the initiatives we have taken, not only him, but about another 9 entrepreneurs and leaders. We wanted to bring them here and to share with us, you know, their technology. So he's going to talk about preserving Oasis agriculture in the face of climate change, the ERWINI initiative. So, Mr. Esmail,
thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Nejib. Thank you for your invitation here. I am really glad, and my discussion here, the timing wouldn't be more perfect.
Can you please introduce yourself?
So
briefly, and then you get to it.
My name is Thabet Esmail. I am the founder and CEO of BLUEJET Engineering. And as I mentioned before, I am an entrepreneur who is working on climate action and how to preserve Oasis agriculture. And that is due to my background. Before I became an engineer, I was a farmer. I am a son of a farmer, and I have lived the first hand the effect of climate change on our oasis and even the quality of dates. So I want to thank Mr. Riadh, because maybe he doesn't know, but he is one of my first influencer on entrepreneurship, and he was a big inspiration for me. Also, Mr. Hosni, your intervention was very enlightening. I can now introduce the solution to the problems that you have raised. Tunisia is facing a serious problem, and I don't need to make any more introduction about this anymore. We have built an initiative. It's named ERWINI, to preserve our oasis agriculture in the face of these climate changes. So we build a smart irrigation system that is dedicated to the oasis. But let's say and answer one question: how the oasis is different? Oasis agriculture is different. The answer lies in the three-level farming process. Since ancient times, Oasis agriculture have been very diverse. We see three layers of farming. We see olive oils, pistache, and all other of trees under the palm trees. And there is the vegetable farming underneath. So we are using almost 90% of water and with a high level of efficiency. But in recent years, due to the climate change, farmers have been reducing those practices and only going with the palm trees, using the same amount of water. So we are using the same amount of water for one plantation. That is the difference. And farmers are no longer practicing olive trees or planting their vegetable like they used to do in the early times. But using the same amount of water is a waste, a big misuse. The challenge we are facing now is water scarcity and a big water misuse. Adding to that, the labor cost that is rising every year. ERWINI, a smart irrigation system that is dedicated to the Oasis and divided into three categories. The first pack will be talking about the basic, is to control water sources, and the advanced pack will be distributing water, going to the final pack, which is AI powering irrigation system. So we introduce security, remote control, and collecting data and distribution, with the final phase, which is the AI model. All of that is done and generated with our mobile and web application ERWINI, with a product that is 100% made in Tunisia, with sourcing our components from all over the world. So what is the value? Based on the EFC studies made by the EFC, our irrigation system can reduce the effect, the use of water, labor, and electricity, increase yield, and improve crop quality, resulting both in environmental sustainability and higher efficiency for the farmer. With only 15 clients so far, we have managed to reduce the carbon footprint of farmers for 1,300 kilograms and reduced water use by around 6 million cubic meter, and reduced the energy input by almost 700,000 kilowatts. At BLUEJET Engineering, we believe that partnership is our key to success, and now we are partnership with TTU for further enhancement. These are our partners, and I want to thank our dear Larish here, who are here today, and to further drive the innovation and enhance sustainability. We are now preparing ourselves to expand in North Africa. We are already built some negotiation in Jordan, and soon will be in Algeria, Libya, and Mauritania. All of that wouldn't be possible without a highly efficient and skilled team to cover all areas of expertise necessary to ensure the durability and the success of this initiative. As you can see, we started implementing our solution ERWINI in different regions of the country, starting from Gbelli to Tunis, raising awareness among farmers and building network, enhancing the best practices necessary, and building the network of a farmer who are ready to invest in this type of technology and also reduce his carbon footprint. In the end, before I close my panel, I want to say ERWINI is not just an irrigation system, but it's one of humanity's small steps toward the better and prosperous world. and we can reach our goal by working together with no drama include. We can reach a goal where Tunisia can become a hub of our innovation and a prosperous future. And thank you for all for listening.
Thank you very much, Esmail, for your innovative thinking. And of course, this came from your roots. And
so
also
much.
addressing the challenge, the issue that you lived through, and you came up with the solution. But that solution is not only for you. You're making, you know, within your country to benefit from, and you have the ambition to make the world benefit from it. And that's the reason we organize. And thanks again to Mohamed. We wanted the world to witness the contribution of Tunisians' talents, not within only Tunisia or the region, but on a global level. And then I hope the ones who are online and people who are here will be within your network and just to shoulder you to grow, and your success is our success.
Thank you so much.
So, Mr. Munir, how much time I have for the questions? Just your
15 minutes.
Okay. So actually, my question will be how we can benefit from our panelists to take things that we learn from, or also to propose as actions or recommendations, and to do better. So I would like to start with the first question to Mr. Riadh. Yeah, we have mentioned that, I mean, when I was involved, at least to contribute in 2010. So today we are 2023. It's 13 years passed by. Maybe they have started even earlier. The question is, based on the experience of SolarTech, to go through the whole process to reach the point where you are, can you tell us 3 points of learnings that others can benefit from that will not take from other projects similar for the good of the country, the good of the people, and also contributing to the world in terms of, mitigating climate change and reducing our CO2 footprint and so on and so on. So three top learnings that we can benefit from your experience.
Thank you, Mr. Hosni. It's not an easy. It's not an easy. It's not an easy question, because you need to think about 3. There is a lot to be shared with, and I really appreciate the fact that I am with you today, because I have heard very interesting stories about success analysis, and I think that we are, as I said in the beginning, there is a now this rich knowledge and beliefs and experiences which can be I think shared among others, and we can contribute to the world. As we said, Tunisia can tell stories to the world, can help also the world. We are a small country, but we can also make things progress in the world. What my takeaway from my experience, because it's an experience I think I can take also from my experience in other countries, in other circumstances. For Tunisia, what I see is that everything is here. You mean whatever you need, the factor of success, the key point of success are available in Tunisia. You have people, you have our geographic, we have problems, which is also a ground for developing solution. I mean, if you have no problem, you don't develop solution. You have to look after all the clients. You have all the problems, water, energy. You have a lot. What is lacking in Tunisia, I think, is spaces where all those early thinker can get together and develop a further solution. Spaces like this are lacking in Tunisia, where we can exchange, where we can do. And I think that what we are doing here in SolarTech is creating this space. We have to collaborate all together to find solutions for. As you see, problems are complex, are not simple. There is no one solution fits all. You have to think about different aspects. You have to look into technology, to digital. You have to think into agriculture. You have to look into water usage. To think into policy. So it's a very complex word, and we need to be all together to think. So we need to collaborate, and we need to, I think, and I may say in second, further collaboration between private and public. We have seen some debate earlier, which translate into this kind of relationship we are, having. There is no close collaboration between public and private. It's two words that speak different languages, and we have to find ways to bridge the gap, to set some bridges. And hopefully with the new generation of public servant, things are moving. We have, I think that I have discussed with a lot, and because of my work with the World Bank, I have also some discussion with the public servant in the government, and I see things are moving also. And the third point is we need financing. I mean, the problem of Tunisia in this with climate change, mitigation, investment, and adaptation investment is financing. And financing is key. And financing is lacking in Tunisia because the traditional commercial banks are not active in this sector. And the DFI are not active in the private sector because they are active with the government side. I mean, this is not the role of the DFI to sponsor or to finance the private sector. So we have a gap here. And generally, in other countries, you have Mazda, like we have other the sovereign funds. We have a lot of instruments that can help. So the private sector, invest instrument, but this is lacking. I mean, in my opinion. So collaboration among us, among private collaboration, private-public collaboration, and financing. This is, I think, the three key elements to unlock the potential in Tunisia.
Okay, Dr. Hosni, you have said a lot of strategic things for Tunisia in terms of how we should look at our challenges more in a holistic way than the way traditionally we do, and sometimes we go probably not in the right path. So my question to you, what are the three things, knowing the challenges we have in Tunisia within the energy and the water, and particularly the water, what are things you would like to propose or to suggest or recommend that from taking it from now and moving ahead, that a solution to improve where we stand today?
So thank you, Nejib, for the question. But I want to put it in the context of Tunisian talents living abroad, because all of us in some point in our career, we want to give back to our countries. And my motto in this, when you are lucky and you progress in your professional life, send the elevator down and take one person up with you after. So this is, I think the vision of TTU start around that, is to region talent, identify people with very high potential. And I'm happy to see very interesting startup ideas. They have a huge potential. Already have a couple of ideas for them, how you can accelerate it here. Here they have huge demand of this kind of technology, especially in the Oasis, smart agriculture, adding more drone technology to capture soil. Maybe you go with sensors, maybe you go with drone technology, and then how you can integrate this in a smart agriculture system. But definitely to answer your question is, the talking point is how Tunisian diaspora can contribute. And we don't have to be shy about it. Yeah, it's true, we have been away from the country for decades, but we still want to contribute. Maybe you are biased. It can happen. Maybe we are being away from the country. Maybe you are not aware of all those. Riadh has mentioned a lot of things going on. I know, I have been witness this. I have been fortunate to kept like a strong link with Tunisia, involved in many professional studies about Tunisia in my role in the United Nations and other roles, even in my role in Masdar as well. I felt it when you talk about STEG, when you talk about the 10 megawatt project, they stayed 2 years like closed because STEG refused to connect it to the grid. So a lot of tension, but it's normal. And it's healthy at the end. If you take it as holistic, you have to have this debate, and you need it to move forward. You need this debate. It's when you take from the agriculture point of view, definitely there is frustration. Each one has to protect his right. Like us, if you have your kids, you have to protect your kids. So dialogue is very important. So I think this is what we can do, and also it was said many times about Tunisian talents in Tunisia, abroad as well. I remember that one story of Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber. He's a friend, he's a very close friend to Nejib as well. He told us one time that when they start the idea of Masdar, people start solar energy in UAE, he went to Tunisia, the first country, because he read that in Boursadria, we have one of the first research center from the 80s, designing PV cells and advancing. And the first country he went to Tunisia to learn what Tunisia did in solar energy in the 80s. He went there in the early 2000s. And then, 2007. I think you were with him or not?
Yes.
Yeah. I think there is a lot of anecdote about that visit. But to recruit Tunisian, and at that time Tunisia was far progressed compared to the UAE in renewables. But if you see today what UAE is doing, becoming the first country in the world in solar integration with more than 8 gigawatt, first in the MENA, because the first in China. Globally, the first country, China, second Australia, and then third is UAE in terms of capacity of solar implemented. How this country did 2000 from the start 2010 in this, and I'm proud to say a lot of Tunisian talent contribute to this. Nejib, he's humble, but he was the Director General and CEO of Dubai Supreme Council of Energy. This is the highest position reached by any Tunisian here in the country. So he's the rank of a minister in Dubai government, developing policies, strategy, foresight of the energy. And some of Emirati don't like him because he's imposed that everyone pay his electricity bill. This is one of the anecdotes that, because before, like Emiratis like have free power, free access to water. So the idea he proposed that was a lot of resistance, but he succeeded, is to each one has to pay. If you have incentive, the government will pay you more incentives, but you have to pay your bill. And this is one of the story I want to share with you.
But to add on that, actually, all consumers and Dubai saved within 1 year $250 million of taking the waste of water waste and electricity waste. And then we put policies, and that people, before you go to cinema or whatever, 18, 19 degrees C, we fixed it at 24. And so we put some, but it was, very challenging. I said, I'll do it, but, my career is behind me. You can sack me if there is problems, but this is good for Dubai, and I'm here to do my best with you guys supporting me. but yeah, it's we lost a lot of opportunities. I'm also, while I'm happy with that, what I have seen, but I have some deep frustration as well, because we engineered that visit in 2007. I'm not joking. Ahmed Basalah, he was the chairman of Shell in Tunisia. I was doing that in the UAE. We convinced Royal Dutch Shell, government to government, with the help with the private sector. And it was a very, very successful visit. But unfortunately, we were in a country of single decision maker, and that Sultan wanted to move fast, but we didn't get. He was on the Bursdria to get them MIT certified and to join Masdar Institute. Two, he was interested to invest in the solar for Tunisia and the export to Europe in the Gabon, Al Hawariya. And third, he wanted to develop trading mechanism between Tunisia and the UAE. And none of these three took place. But we have, that's why I say we have to learn from our experience to do better next. And this is particularly for the young generation to realize we have done a lot of things. We have not been very successful in everything, but we did leave our footprints. And Tunisians in this country are highly respected. I moved on, and Dr. Hosni is also, as I said in the beginning, is our ambassador in the academia, is highly respected, and by the community as well. And what he is very modest. What he didn't say, he's the co-founder of one of the co-founders of TTU. There's 20 people who co-founded, and he was there. So he's basically has his heart and mind, like all of us, to help the, the next generation to do better. And that's the raison d'etre of TTU, is investing in the next leaders and talents of Tunisia, because this is how life is. We move on. So thank you, Dr. Hosni. So the question to Esmail, you shared, it's very exciting what you've done, and you shared, your next steps, and but can you tell us what's your vision? You are now, that's your vision, and what you need as for your next steps to move towards your vision, the help. What kind of help you will need that you reach and make your vision a reality.
Okay, thank you first. And as for our vision is to see an oasis that is fully connected, and the management of water which is 100% efficient. There is not a single drop that is waste.
Okay.
And that in numbers, Tunisia is using 24,000 metric cube for every hectare. In Morocco, they are using half of that number, only 12,000. There is a lot of work need to be done to reach that point, a point where a farmer uses his phone or uses his laptop to manage all aspects of his oasis. And our objective is to reach globally to Algeria, all of Africa, basically. And our objective is, in terms of helping, and you are already helped. I am here today. I am speaking about ERWINI and the BLUEJET Engineering as a company. I need actually networking, and you helped me a lot of that in that sense. Let's keep the partnership open. Let's keep the channel open. A lot of Tunisian need youth like me, startups. They don't know how this experience today in COP28 is enlightening. You can network, you can change a lot of ideas with other researchers, other organizations. As Mr. Hosni said, he bring us a lot of academic results. Now we need to close the gap between actual doing the work and between the academic results. That's what we need actually in Tunisia. Closing that gap. We are so far ahead in research, but in terms of implementing real solution in the ground, we are so behind.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So just before to close out, I just sorry, yeah, I was going to speak on behalf of, because I cannot ask him a question, so I wanted to pick up on Mr. Jaloul Ayed, just to build on what the panelists are present, then I'll offer the floor. So I think the key thing when it comes to Tunisia is really to have a solid governance, because what you know, Mr. Riadh didn't really want to go into it. And the learning is of these 10, 12 years, you know, we learned a lot. And that was an issue about governance, decision-making, and really having, and when it comes to the Nexus, I think definitely 100% agree with Mr. Jaloul Ayed. We have to get that right structure for the governance. For the other thing is, when we talk about policy and the governance deliver the policy basically, but then the regulation has to be really independent to translate the policy into the right regulation. Our governance in our country, it's served for the 20th century, but now have to be relooked at from a structure point of view, and also to bring it up to date. As we have seen, the world is evolving and the whole world is learning, and we as well learning and realize we have to revisit that. So I want to just, on behalf of, in addition to the green accounting and whatever you talk. So I wanted to emphasize that, to bring that dimension on top of all the discussion. And now the floor is open for the questions. Who wants to, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Nejib. Speaking about this nexus, food, energy, and water, we saw that these issues are complex. Yeah? But when speaking about vital issues like water, energy, and food, there is, I think, at least two dimensions. That there is the economical dimension, but there is also the strategical dimension. We saw, for example, during the COVID close-up, when the supply chains broke up, that it is essential, even it is not economically justified, that we have at least to ensure what we need to survive. So this adds a new complexity to the questions. And the question is addressed to Mr. Ghedira, to Dr. Ghedira, where to put the limit to say, even though it appears at a first glance nonsense to produce tomatoes to dry, which requires 200 liters, I think, per kilo. But we need them to maybe to be fed and to survive after all. So where to put the limit to say, even though it's not economically viable, we have to do it because it is strategically important. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a very interesting question. I think the economic dimension and socioeconomic dimension is very important. We are dealing with different people, their livelihood from agriculture. You cannot disrupt the system by making abrupt decision like this. I think it's very important to take, at least to have the real assessment. And this is, I think, to start to have a good decision, to have good assessment of the problems and put everything on the table. You said, yeah, food security is very important for the country. You cannot, even it costs us a lot in terms of water footprint or to produce the same product, but it's needed. So it's at least we have the real numbers. I think this is the best way to do it. Okay, we have all the numbers on the table and we can make decision later on. Okay, this one is strategic, is vital, let's keep it. This one, we have to find a way how you can optimize in terms of what, I'm talking just about water, how we can optimize it, yes, in terms of water, how we can, I think it's R&D is very important because we have one of the oldest agriculture university in Africa, INAT, and recently some reports about the research output of INAT is not, even the ranking compared to other agriculture university, is lagging behind, and sometimes not question of resources, it's just the policies, how we can integrate the R&D ecosystem in the industrial ecosystem, how you can fund research projects that are be funded by the end users, how you can develop international partnerships, and to go back to TTU and other organization, and this is the role that we can help in this from our position. So we have the advantage to have our own connection, to understand. Here, the UAE, they started the R&D, it cannot tell more than 10, 15 years. And then if you see the impact and the ranking of the Emiratis universities are one of the top. So the university that I am working on as a director of research is now ranked 18 in the world in AI, in artificial intelligence, because it's through its question of investment. They invest a lot to bring people. But in terms of research outcome, it's not just research, the impactable, it's the tangible outcome of research to tell me, okay, I have project funded for INAT student to tell me, to play on the genetics, to play on the water supply and everything on the grain and different crops, how you can improve this efficiency, how you can reduce your water footprint. It can, very interesting research project, but should be supported. So the view should be holistic from decision-making, as government, as involving private as well, and also enhancing international collaboration, because we cannot, because Tunisia sometimes have the perception that we know everything, but and sometimes you have to open up and you have to learn about other experiences. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Even the UAE, because between us as Tunisian, we always have perception that we are much better, we know much better, but they progress. They have been here, some of you the first time, and you see what they did. You visit Dubai, you go to Abu Dhabi. It's true they have resources, but here we'll be talking about some geopolitics. But if you compare to Libya, they have the same production of oil, 3 million barrels per day, 2.8 million barrels per day. Compare Tripoli to Dubai. And the weather in Libya is much better than Dubai. The culture is higher. If you have been visit Tripoli, it's open museum. The Roman Empire was there because it's more size than Carthage. So, and then this is at the end is about vision. It's about how you can leverage leadership. Leadership is very important as well, and not just about money. This is we can. There are a lot of things that can be done. Always we get blocked. Finance is very important, but you have to be smart how we can leverage on things, and we can bring partner that they can added value, in-kind contribution, engage industrial ecosystem as well.
May I add something to that? In terms of food security and water nexus, we are losing that battle in Tunisia. Maybe I will add a number, because number enlightens our side. In the recent years, we have lost more than 16,000 hectares of land that were dedicated to crops like wheat and wheat. So we are losing key crops that are necessary in advantage to something we export, like olive oils. So because we don't, the politics shape the behavior of the farmers. If you don't support farmers who are producing grains, they will end up migrating from grains to other more productive crops like olive oil and water-intensive oil, and intensify crop irrigation and practices. So we are losing that battle in Tunisia because there is no clear and vision to how we are seeing the country within the next 15. And if there is studies like that in Tunisia and these numbers, they are kept indoors. I have countless time as a startup approached the governmental institute, and I have received nothing. Just adding up to the discussion.
We have another question.
Okay, yes.
Thank you very much for the very interesting panel. And my question goes to Mr. Hosni, because I would like to go back on your expertise with satellite imagery processing. You mentioned the solar farm here in UAE. It's a large, so 9 by 8 kilometers you mentioned. So my question, are the maintenance teams on the ground well oriented to know exactly where to go to clean the panels? And eventually, can satellite technology play a role in this to orient the team on the side? And the second point is about you mentioned the smart water meters to have measurement about how much water we are pumping from aquifers. But farmers are using this water actually to irrigate their lands. And with satellite technology, we can very well determine soil moisture, hydric stress of plants, and from there deduce how much water actually is used to irrigation. Will this not also be a solution like to penalize, let's say, farmers who are exceeding and overusing water and irrigation with the satellite solution, and also to give incentives to farmers who are really practicing sustainable irrigation practices? Yeah, and last point about water treatment, used water treatment. Is there any decentralized solution so that we can irrigate, let's say, public green zones next to the corner of the residential site, yeah, to avoid this huge pumping of 40 kilometers that is done here in UAE? Again, with this smart city concept that was presented by Mr. Munir yesterday. Thank you very much.
Just quick. So you asked 3 questions. For the question about the solar panels, we are now at the university. We are running a large project of drone technology using computer vision. We have 100 drones flying over the panels continuously, collecting millions of images, measuring with hyperspectral, measuring anomalies in the panel if they need maintenance, and with the visible band and thermal bands, measuring the cell temperature of the panels, and we measure also an estimation of dust accumulation, the soiling of our panels. So yeah, satellite data. It's good at large scale, but if you want to do it as a panel scale, either you have to use high resolutions, very expensive satellite data, or drone is it's getting used for that one. Yeah, so drone technology, as we discussed last time, also about the pipeline as well, the leakage of pipeline using drones with thermal and with hyperspectral, because now it's easy to implement hyperspectral camera on drones. Your second question. Yeah. So for you assume resistance of agriculture. So we have to assume they cannot give us access, because smart meter you can control. You have access to let's say 1,000 liters per day for and you can shut it down. This is the advantage of smart meter, but there is a huge resistance from the agriculture and farming community in Tunisia to implement them, because you can talk. It's unfortunate the guy from agriculture left, but how many illegal wells in Tunisia? Because it's not their water, it's the community water. It's like pumping water from the aquifers. It's not just their water. So this is a lot of resistance. If you talk with agriculture aside from those kind of projects, there's a huge resistance on this. And to go back to the changing the nature of farming as well, you know, in Tunisia now we are changing our old trees by the Spanish olives that can bali or sakwi and then consume a lot of water. And you see in the chart that how olives consume water, and because for the reason they can start producing after 2 or 3 years, so they cannot wait. And our original olive trees that can resist drought, can yet survive, can continue producing. But yes, so this kind of I think to go back to what's suggested by Nejib is to have holistic policy vision and implement it, and you have to at the end you have to show incentive to the end users. You have a lot of education exercise should be done as well. Bring this agriculture, because if you deplete the aquifer, we'll all lose. So it's not a question of gaining this year or next year, and then the salinity will be increasing, we'll be losing your hectares of lands. So third question is?
decentralized water, used water treatment.
Yeah, there are some studies about splitting black and gray water, and they have a unit because gray water is easier to treat on site. The black water is a bit complicated because big percentage of wastewater is gray water. So you split your water collection, but there's implemented in some European countries. Yeah, the Belgium they had split, and they have a unit in the basement that can treat it and use it for landscaping and so on.
For information, we are working on something like that in SolarTech. So this is our
Good.
next project.
Good.
Any other questions? I think will be the last one. Huh? So there is no further question. I think I just want to add and build on what has been said. I think it's also resistance because of lack of understanding. So we need to raise the awareness. I mean, our farmers, when they understand they're going to get salty water and kill their crops by, then they will start to think because they probably don't understand what it means. So the awareness is, and probably one thing we take is so exciting. And I told you in the beginning, this is one of the most important panel because it's about life, okay? So maybe the next step is, we organize on the ground in Tunisia sometime next year, maybe next summer or whatever. And we really try to raise the awareness of our society and particularly our farmers, because we've got 75% of the water be used by that. So really want to thank our wonderful panelists, and I really learned a lot today. I don't know about you, but I did. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Like yesterday, we are expecting some lunch boxes here. In the Tunisia agenda, there are probably a couple of competing events this afternoon. The one here and the one in Pavillon de la Francophonie, which starts at 2 and finishes at 3. So probably our suggestion, if our next panelists agree, is to start at 3 instead of 2:35 or 2:40. I'm talking. Yeah, we can move it a little bit. Otherwise, let's say to support the other event, we go there at 2, and then we come at 2:45 to start here. Those of us who are willing to have a lunchbox, I think it's on its way. So stay with us, and you're most welcome back if you want to have a coffee or whatever around 2:45. Okay? Inshallah. Thank you.